Today we are going to discuss and work with polynomials again. Linear factors, and zeros. And in the first part of your practice today, you're going to be asked to write a polynomial in factored form. The question you'll be asked is, what is the factored form of, and then you'll be given some polynomials. So we're going to start off with x to the third minus 2x squared minus 15x. All right, and first thing here, you got a trinomial, and every term in this trinomial has an x in it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to factor out that x. And when you take this x out, what you're left with is x squared minus 2x minus 15. And now what you've got is a trinomial that you can factor as well. So your next step is to factor it. So when you're doing these, try to not forget to bring down this x that you've already factored out. It seems to happen a lot. So just bring down this x, and you're going to factor this trinomial. You need two numbers that multiply to negative 15, but add to negative 2. So you go back to listing your factors of 15. You got 1 and 15. You got, what, 3 and 5, and that's it. So the 3 and the 5 will combine to the negative 2. So we go x minus 5 times x plus 3. So right there is your factored form of this initial trinomial. So we got x times x minus 5 times x plus 3. If we got to factor x to the third minus x squared minus 12x. All right, again, each term has an x in it, so you can take the x out, and then you're left with x squared minus x minus 12. You're looking for factors of 12 that can combine to a 1. So out of a 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4, it's going to be the 3 and the 4. So you just have to adjust your signs accordingly. So right here we got x times, this is going to be x minus 4 times x plus 3. There's your factored form. If you get something like 9x to the third plus 6x squared minus 3x. In this case, not only does each term have an x in it, but it also has a 3x in it. All right? So you're going to factor the 3x out of all of these terms. So when you take this 3x out, what you're left with inside the parentheses is a 3x squared plus a 2x minus 1. All right, and then you're going to factor what's left inside those parentheses. So we got 3x times, in the parentheses here, we're going to have a 3x and an x. And if you need to, this is back where we used to draw the table. Where we have one factor with a 3x, the other with an x. We need to multiply to -1 at the end, so the only thing that can be at the end is a 1 and a 1. Just have to adjust the signs accordingly so that your middle term is positive 2. So if we go 3x times x, we get 3x squared. 3x times the 1 is a 3x. X times 1 is just the x, and then the 1 times 1 is 1. So since this 2x in the middle has to be positive, then this 3x has to be positive. And if this 3x has to be positive, then this 1 has to be positive. So this can be your negative factor. So that would give you a negative x here. And your 3x and your negative x gives you 2x. Positive 1 times negative 1 gives you the negative 1 that you need here at the end. So we're going to have 3x minus 1 times x plus 1. So there's your factored form. All right, in the second part of your assignment, you're going to be asked, what are the zeros of, and then you're going to be given different functions. And the first function we're going to look at is going to be x plus 2. Let's see, it's going to be y equals x plus 2 times x minus 1 times x minus 3. All right. When you're finding the zeros of the function, we did this with quadratics a couple of weeks ago. You're going to set each factor equal to 0, then solve. So what you've got is a graph here that's going to have 3 zeros, which means it's going to cross the x-axis 3 times. So in order to find these zeros, we're going to set each factor equal to 0. So we take x plus 2 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, and x minus 3 equal to 0. And you just solve them all. All right, so one of your zeros is going to be x equals -2. Another 0 will be x equals +1. And the third 0 of this function will be x equals +3. So those are your zeros, -2, 1, and +3. If you're given a function like y is equal to x times x minus 3 times x minus 5, it's the same concept, but don't forget about the first x. You got to set that x equal to 0, the x minus 3 equal to 0, and the x minus 5 equal to 0. Solve them. All right, so again, you have a graph that would touch the x-axis in 3 places. It would touch it at 0, +3, and +5. In the third part of your assignment today, you're going to be asked to write a polynomial function in standard form with the given zeros. All right, and what you want to do here is you want to just draw back on this previous problem where, look, if a function had a 0 of -2, it has a factor of x plus 2. If a function has a 0 of +1, it's got a factor of x minus 1. A function with a 0 of 3 has a factor of x minus 3. I hope you see the pattern. All right? If a function has a 0 of 0, one of its factors is just x. If it's got a 0 of +3, it's got a factor of x minus 3. A 0 of 5 comes from a factor of x minus 5. So in this next portion of the assignment, they're going to give you the zeros. You've got to determine the factors, and then you've got to multiply. So let's see, you've got zeros of -2, 2, and 3. If those are your 3 zeros, then the 0, -2, comes from a factor of x plus 2. If you've got a 0 of +2, that came from a factor of x minus 2. And if it has a 0 of +3, well, that came from a factor of x minus 3. And now you have to multiply all of this, okay? So I don't know how good you got at factoring, but you can pick any 2 of these factors that you want and multiply them first. And then you multiply by the third factor. If you multiply x plus 2 times x minus 2, you're going to get x squared minus 4. And then you're going to take that and you're going to multiply it by x minus 3. So then your next step here would be to multiply again. Now this is the double distributive property. So you take your x squared times x and you get x to the third. You take your x squared times -3 and you get -3x squared. -4 times x is -4x. And -4 times -3, that's +12. All right, so here's your polynomial function in standard form based on the given zeros. Here it is in standard form. And remember, it's in standard form when your exponents are in descending order from left to right. let's say our zeros are -2, -2, 2, and 3. -2, -2, 2, and 3. Again, you take your zeros and you create your factors. So this -2 comes from an x plus 2. And this comes from the same. The +2, 0 comes from x minus 2. And the +3, 0 comes from x minus 3. Now you got some work to do here. I'm going to multiply these two binomials first. And these two first. Because I know from factoring that x plus 2 times x plus 2 is going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4. These two numbers add up to +4 and they multiply to +4. And then I know that x minus 2 times x minus 3 is a positive x squared. If I add -2 to -3, I get -5x. And if I multiply -2 by -3, I get +6. So now I've got, actually it's not a plus in there, I take that back. We've got a trinomial on the left that's got to get multiplied by a trinomial on the right. So this is a lot of distributive property. This is x squared times x squared, x to the 4th. It's x squared times -5x, which is -5x to the 3rd. And then it's x squared times +6, which is +6x squared. It's x squared times x squared again. No, it's not. It's the 4 now, okay? It's the 4x times the x squared, which is +4x to the 3rd. It's the 4x times the -5x, which is -20x squared. And it's the 4x times the +6, which is +24x. And now you get to do it one more time. We got to distribute this 4 to everything in the right side parentheses. So I'm going to go 4 times x squared, +4x squared. 4 times -5x is -20x. 4 times the 6 is +24. And now you got to combine like terms. So I'm scanning through here. I've only got one exponent to the 4th power. So it drops down. And what I like to do is I get rid of it, scratch it out so I don't look at it again. And then I've got an x to the 3rd here and another x to the 3rd here. So I got -5x to the 3rd and I got a +4x to the 3rd. So that's -x to the 3rd. And then I get rid of them, scratch them out. I've got 3, let's see, I've got an x squared, an x squared, and an x squared. So I got 6 minus 20, which is -14, plus 4, which is -10x squared. And then I cross out all these x squareds. And it looks like I'm down to this 24x minus 20x. And 24x minus 20x would be +4x. So I can get rid of those. And 24, +24. All right, and then you could still answer those questions from yesterday about end behavior. Right? What's the end behavior right here? We've got a leading term that is positive, right? So if A is positive and our exponent is even, that's an up and up. All right, that's up and up. But look, it had 4 zeros, didn't it? If it had 4 zeros, that means this thing changed directions 4 times. Okay? No, it doesn't. It means it changed directions 2 times. Okay? Good. All right, so any questions on any of that we've talked about? Okay, your practice for today then. Page 293. Page 293, let's see, find the zeros. 1 through 3. 1 through 4. 7 through 26. That's going in the basket. Or you're going to email me a picture. No Zoom meeting for the next 3 days. You'll have an assignment that is posted on Focus, and a corresponding assignment that is under alerts after you complete those assignments. You guys, you e-learners are excused at this time. To complete your